I'm KDKA meteorologist Ray Petland. We have a tornado warning that was issued for Allegheny County, and this is for that line of storms that we've been watching for the past several minutes as this storm has moved from west to east through parts of Beaver County, and now as it enters into Allegheny County, we have a tornado warning that is in effect until 8 p.m. So we have 30 minutes on this. This will likely wrap up earlier than that, but again, a tornado warning till 8 p.m. for Allegheny County, and it's for this line of storms here. We're going to get in closer on this storm as it continues to move through. Right now, this is approaching Moon Township out towards the airport, and certainly a well-defined hook is showing up here south of Moon. So what you see there is what we would call the hook echo associated with this one, and that one is very well defined. You can see here on the velocity, which shows us the motion that this storm is moving. We have reds, which would indicate motion away from the radar, and green, which would indicate motion towards. And in this area, we're seeing sort of what we would call a couplet, an area where you have that motion towards and away from the radar adjacent to each other. And that's that signifies rotation, and that tells us that there could be a tornado associated with this line. And this is pretty close to the radar site, so this is scanning pretty low into the atmosphere, so we're getting really good data coming in on this particular warning. So a tornado warning, again, for those just joining us, Allegheny County until 8 p.m., and there is definitely a hook just south of Moon Township. We're going to get in closer on this one here as this works through, and you can see that well-defined hook associated with this moving towards North Fayette. If you are in North Fayette, South Fayette, if you're in Oakdale or Robinson, you're going to want to be in the lowest level of your home in an interior room away from doors and windows and as many walls between you and the storm as possible. That is the safest place to be in a situation like this where you have that rotation showing up in your area. But this tornado warning is based on radar indications, and there are several indications here on the radar that would tell us that this could eventually develop into a tornado that's on the ground, but certainly a well-defined hook. We're seeing also on this the velocity showing the couplet or the rotation that we would look for right there, just near North Fayette, moving towards Oakdale, and this one is about, at the moment, to cross over 978. So from Oakdale, 978, you're watching that tornado warning there moving towards you. So a lot happening here with this particular storm. Of course, you have several storms around the area that we've been watching throughout the course of the evening, and then this one develops and certainly starts to show all the signs that this has rotation associated with it. So North Fayette, this is where it's going to start to get worse for you right now. The worst of this storm is moving through your area, and it's going to get worse here over the next several minutes. Potentially damaging winds, potential rotation on this one. As great as pictures and videos are, be in a safe spot. Take your family to the safe spot. Use that time to get to the lowest level of your home where you can be safe. But this one is a thunderstorm that has a potential to produce a tornado. We certainly have the hook there near North Fayette. And this one is moving eastward at the moment at about 40 miles per hour. So this one has some speed on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out a little bit here on the radar. And of course, the heavy rain associated with this is starting to prompt some flood warnings. We'll get to that here in a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn off all these warnings that are popping up on the map. And we're going to put the storm that is tornado warned with some cities tracked on there so people can see. So this does include the city of Pittsburgh. What happened here in the studio, everybody's phones went off with that warning, and that's why we're hopping on here to talk about this. So this one's moving east at about 40 miles per hour. I'm going to have to zoom out certainly a lot more on this one to get that to all fit in here. But this storm, again, has the potential to produce a tornado. We take this very seriously because these rotating winds are known to cause damage. We've had certainly the setup with that being the case throughout the month of May. We haven't had too many. We had some tornado warnings last weekend, but this is going to be at 7:45 in the next 10 minutes or so towards Carnegie. By the time we're getting to the top of the hour, this is going to be moving towards Pittsburgh by about 10 after 8, Penn Hills, and Jeanette by about 8:30. So at 40 miles per hour, this storm certainly has that potential to cause some damage just with straight line winds. But of course, we've been seeing many indications that have been showing that this one has the potential for rotation as well. We're going to look at the velocity again, and certainly in that area where we've seen what we would call the hook that I was pointing out is also where we're seeing winds towards the radar. So the radar site is just up north of this in Moon Township. So these winds are blowing towards the radar. The winds right here are blowing away. And this is crossing over right now towards 22. So basically traveling just south of 22, moving towards Scott Township. This is going to brush Robinson, Oakdale. You're in the path of this. And if I just mentioned your town, North Fayette, Robinson, Oakdale, Scott Township, even South Fayette, being the lowest level of your home, downtown Pittsburgh, be on alert. This one is moving in that direction, and this tornado warning goes until 8 o'clock. And about 8 o'clock on its current path is when that would be moving through Pittsburgh. So we're watching that part of the storm right now back to the west. What I'm going to do is I'm hoping that our crew can get the gateway camera trained more towards the west, looking over the Fort Duquesne Bridge. So if you can pan that a little more to the left, if you would. That would be from the direction of which this storm is moving. We'll take a look at the Mount Washington camera here. Certainly nothing as you look westward or eastward from the west, but looking at the other camera, the gateway camera that we have here. We're going to zoom up. Certainly an ominous sky in the distance. And if you have a loved one on the rivers this evening, call them up right now. Tell them to get back to port. That's real important. Even if a tornado doesn't come down, there's going to be a lot of lightning and some very hefty rain coming down. So this is a storm that we're going to take very seriously. And in the control room, if you guys can check out the traffic cams, especially those ones as you get towards Carnegie, as you get back down towards North Fayette, I-79, towards Pennsbury Village as you're getting into Scott Township, Collier area. That's sort of where this is moving, sort of where 376 and 79 come together. Very busy part of town for this to have a situation where there's the potential of a tornado on the ground, but certainly a defined hook from Robinson. You look back towards 22, the Steubenville Pike there, 376, where this is all coming together just north of Collier and Robinson. This is moving in your direction, being the lowest level of your home right now. This is going to continue along 22 and move towards Crafton, along 376 as well, and brush by Scott Township, which you see here on the bottom of your map. I'm going to zoom out a little bit to give everyone perspective as to what we're looking at here. What we have are some severe thunderstorm warnings. These are serious on their own just because they bring that potential of damaging winds and hail. And of course, then you throw in the element of rotation and you get that tornado warning. So the tornado warning is the red here, and I'm going to turn off all these other boxes. All of Allegheny County has a flash flood warning, so you know, until 9:30 tonight. And that is just because of the incredibly heavy rain that is coming along with this. But the tornado warning goes until 8 p.m. And that is in effect for just Allegheny County, basically along 22 and the Parkway from extreme western parts of Allegheny County right through Munhall, almost to Penn Hills. So the city of Pittsburgh is included in this tornado warning, but the storm itself that is prompting this tornado warning is just back to the west. So you get towards North Fayette, that's already starting to blow through. What we have here is the notch that we've been watching. Moving on towards Crafton and Carnegie, Greentree, Scott Township, all these areas being the lowest level of your home. Dormont, that would include you as well. I'm going to look at something that we don't look at very often on air. And this is what we would call the debris tracker. And that was just a very defined hook, and I want to look at some of the returns here. That is a little bit concerning for this particular warning, this what we're seeing here on the radar. So certainly a setup where this storm is moving eastward at about 40 miles per hour. So it's screaming. This one's moving really fast. Here we are at 740, and at 40 miles per hour, I'm gonna have to zoom out quite a bit to put a track on this one so we can see the towns that are going to be impacted, and those towns do include the city of Pittsburgh. But at 40 miles per hour, this one is going to be in Pittsburgh before 8 o'clock. So that's moving pretty quickly west to east. Penn Hills by 8:05, North Huntington by about quarter after, Greensburg 8:30, Unity Township by about 8:30, 8:40 this evening. Hopefully it doesn't stick together that long. I'm going to take a look here at what some of the National Weather Service reports are coming in from that area. While I do this, I'm going to take also a look at what's happening with our cameras here as we look off of Mount Washington. We didn't see too much, but if we look from the top of Gateway Center, okay, this is a traffic camera that we're looking at here. This looks, the logo's blocking it, but certainly some intense rainfall here on I-79 as we're looking at the PennDOT traffic cameras here. I'm not sure if my IFB's on for anyone to tell me where exactly this is looking at, but this is certainly showing some gusty winds, very heavy. You can see the ponding on the roadways there. That's Ridge Road on 79. The low clouds are starting to show up here in town. The winds are picking up here, and that boat's going to find out that you need to pay attention to the weather a lot better than what they were doing, because that boat should not be there with this storm bearing in on the area. On top of that, we've been watching these storms continue to take over the region over the course of the evening, and now we sit here with a tornado warning that just got adjusted, and this is about as small and skinny and precise of a tornado warning that you will ever see. So right now, what the National Weather Service did was they dropped the city of Pittsburgh, or downtown Pittsburgh, I should say, out of this warning. They have now the warning more focused from Scott Township, where Scott, it is about to get pretty intense where you're at right now. South Fayette, that intensity is going to lighten here a little bit, and then in about the next 10 minutes, it should start to improve dramatically for you. But Scott Township, your weather is deteriorating quite quickly and will continue to do so. You're about to be in the most intense of this particular storm. Downtown Pittsburgh is going to get in on the rain. It's going to get in on those potentially damaging winds, but the area of rotation has focused more to the south now, and this is the area of concern. And what we're seeing here is this tornado warning. The warning itself is this red box. Scott Township, not even up to Crafton. You don't even have to go that far north to Dormont. And Dormont, you're next in line for this one as well. Some intense winds associated with this. We're looking at wind speeds that are getting in excess of, this is a storm relative. Let's get back to a more traditional velocity view, and this will help us out in determining the wind speeds in here. But once you start getting into the yellows and oranges, this is when you typically start seeing those wind gusts in excess of 45, 50 miles per hour, and where you're starting to see those big wind gusts starting to take place. So the winds are going to pick up in intensity. We have that going on with the storm relative velocity. So the storm is moving quite quickly on its own. Good thing is the rotation is not as defined as it was just a bit ago when we hopped on with this warning. And again, this warning continues until 8 o'clock, and right there, we're going to go back. Right there was one of the most concerning parts of this storm. And now that part of the storm there that you see as we move forward to the current time is now past Robinson and moving into Scott Township, and it has lost some of its intensity, which is great thing to see here. When it comes to storms like this, that is what you want to be happening. You want this to lower its wind speeds. Okay, radar confirmed tornado 2 miles south of Imperial. That was when about 10 minutes ago. Here we are. The other thing we look at here on the radar is for the potential of debris to show up. And earlier, if you were here earlier, we showed you our debris tracker, what we would call on the radar a correlation coefficient. And you go back a couple scans, and what we're going to see here is like Collier certainly felt the brunt of that one moving through. We'll get back into that scan here. And that has certainly fallen off a lot. So we're going to pop up some of the storm reports to see what we're dealing with here, because in addition to that rotation that was showing up, and storm reports are usually lagged, in addition to that rotation that we were seeing, which is lightened up. So we're going to look at a couple other things now. While we still have that tornado warning on the board, we're going to look at a couple other things, including the rain rates, which you can see here. This is just a quick and dirty way to say that, man, this rain is coming down quite heavy. We're starting to see the rains in the whites, which would show a high rain rate, meaning very hefty rainfall. And radar estimates show in this area rainfall amounts that are quite high. And we've seen rain passing over certain locations over and over again. And we've been seeing 1 to 3 inches by radar estimates of rainfall. So there is a flash flood warning that continues into 9:30. What we're going to do now is take a look at a shot of Pittsburgh. This is a view that shows Mount Washington looking at the city. So quite intense rainfall to the point where you can barely make out the city skyline, which is right there, right across the Mon and the Ohio River there. And then the other shot, which we have, is on top of Gateway Center. And this is looking towards Acrisure Stadium. You can't even make out Mount Washington in the background or even the west end. So the rain is quite intense at this moment. So a couple things. One, turn around, don't drown. If the water's starting to come up, you'll want to find another way around. But this rain is quite intense at the moment. On top of that, we've been seeing a storm moving through that has had a history of rotation. And at the moment, that tornado warning looks to have been dropped by the National Weather Service, which is a good sign. Let me see here to make sure that is in fact the case, because we're getting one of those evenings where you get warnings on top of warnings on top of warnings, and our radar is still showing early signs of some rotation trying to show up here, but the tornado warning has been canceled. We still have, in addition to what was a tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning. So this line of storms that's coming into Pittsburgh at the moment, even though the tornado warning has been dropped, is still pushing out some pretty intense winds that could be in excess of 60, 65 miles per hour. And then the intense rainfall that is associated with it is problem number 2, prompting a flash flood warning that's in effect until 9:30. So we have this severe thunderstorm warning, the potential for flooding rains coming in here. And oftentimes what you get are these whites showing up, and that would say, hey, there's hail within this storm. But the rain is so intense at the moment that it's showing up what would be normally hail. This is downtown Pittsburgh. If you're familiar, KDKA is situated right on Fort Duquesne Avenue, right across from PNC Park. So think about stepping outside KDKA, looking across Fort Duquesne Boulevard and the Allegheny River. PNC Park is right there. You can't even see that. Now here, it's pointed towards the Fort Duquesne Bridge, which you can barely make out in the foreground, and that Fort Duquesne Bridge is quite close to downtown as well. On top of that, we go to Mount Washington. Not much of a different view here. Intense rainfall. Of course, the rain's collecting on the lens, but you wouldn't be able to see from Mount Washington to the city skyline as it is. So we still have our severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect, flash flood warning that's in effect, and a severe thunderstorm watch that runs until 10 o'clock. Now, I'm not sure what you want to do, Tori. Okay, so I'm just going to stick and do weather here. So, and there's plenty of weather to do. So we have our severe thunderstorm warning, and what I'm going to do here is pop up our storm tracks. And this is our radar our radar showing us the direction and movement of these storms. Certainly, when you see these rotations here, some of them tell us, hey, these storms are starting to gather, and a lot of those severe thunderstorms or supercell thunderstorms have a rotation element to them. That's just how they work. They're intense areas of low pressure, and they're trying to get their act together. Now, this one is showing that the radar scan has picked up on some of that, and this particular line of storms has had a history of rotation associated with it, and that's concerning, one, because sometimes, and we learned this when those storms hit downtown back in May, when we had several tornado warnings, they'll drop, they'll lighten up, and then they re-strengthen. So it's certainly something that needs to be monitored very closely. Now, here on the traditional velocity view, some quite intense winds, Pittsburgh down to Bethel Park. Now, North Fayette, South Fayette, it's going to start getting better for you. The intense winds are traveling the Parkway, heading towards Turtle Creek, heading towards McKeesport, Penn Hills, Monroeville, Swissvale, Wilkinsburg. This is all moving towards you. Now, downtown, the rain is quite intense, and we have cameras here that we can look at. Going downtown, this is a view of heading into the tunnel. So what you're seeing here is very heavy rain ponding on the roadways. And of course, this is a major roadway, and here there's excellent drainage that occurs here. So the main highways looking pretty good. We've had intense heat in the last week, not a ton of rain to wet the ground, so it's still dry. So a lot of this is going to end up as runoff. So if you're adjacent to a small creek or stream, or in an area that is prone to flooding, just know that you could end up seeing some issues with water coming up. Now, the flash flood warning continues until 9:30. Our severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 8:15. And when you see these boxes pop up with the red, that means that a tornado is possible. And of course, we had a situation where there was likely a tornado, as was confirmed by the radar on top of that. So it wasn't just radar indicated, it was radar confirmed, because the correlation coefficient, or what we call the debris tracker, picked up on some of that debris that was floating overhead. So when debris gets picked up, the radar can sense that it's not raindrops, it's not hail, and it was able to say, hey, there's debris in this, so that became a radar confirmed tornado. And when it comes to Grant Street, let's take a look at Grant Street. This is a view of Grant Street here from the PennDOT cameras. Visibility is greatly reduced. This is one of those hefty rainfalls that comes with where your wipers don't have a good setting. Like your wipers have a real hard time keeping up with this. So just if you have a loved one and they're on their way home for dinner or on their way home for the evening or heading out somewhere, just know that this has intense rainfall and this is going to slow them down. This whole line has been concerning here. I'm looking here to see if we're getting any reports of damage, any reports of other things here. So these are all from earlier today, where we were seeing some of those stronger storms up to the north. But here we stand right now with this line of storms, the heaviest of the rain over Pittsburgh at the moment. We've had a history of rotation within this storm, and you can see here that the part of the storm with the most consistent rotation, this is what triggered that tornado warning, which the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, but we still have a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:15, and this is going to be drifting on towards Plum, towards Penn Hills, towards eventually Greensburg, but even downtown Pittsburgh, we're getting hit with some hefty rainfall here. But as this storm approached I-79, it started to lose its rotation. So that's rotation over time, and rotation at the current time shows that things have lightened up significantly. So we're not getting tons of rotation. And I do know this is working because you get these little specks in here. So some good signs that the rotation is coming to an end, but that spun up quite quickly. We're going to go back here over the velocities, and this is an indication of some intense winds. The strong winds just south of Edgewood and Swissvale over Munhall, heading towards 837 here. So some intense winds right now, and those are going to continue on with these storms. So North Versailles, Monroeville, this is going to be brushing you. So look for intense winds to come in. And even though this isn't showing rotation here, it's showing more of a straight line wind pattern. You'll still want to be away from windows and doors, as sometimes these winds can cause just as much damage as a wind that is rotating. So Munhall, you're going to see this start to lighten up a little bit, but this is going to head towards 30. So if you ever travel Edgewood down to North Versailles, 30 there, this is going to be moving in that general direction, even on towards Monroeville that we're watching here as well. So the winds intense. We're going to take a different look at the velocity here. Just that accounts for the motion of the storm, which this one's moving quite quickly. That's not popping anything that shows a rotation to me at the moment, but we're starting to see this lighten up. Now, this is still a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado at the moment, but we haven't seen that rotation over several scans. This severe thunderstorm warning is going to remain in play until 8:15. So another good 15, 20 minutes left on that. On top of that, the intense rainfall has triggered a flash flood warning. What we're seeing are rain rates exceeding what our ground is typically able to handle, especially after some intense heat and dry setup that we've seen for a good chunk of the last 10 days. So the absorption capacity of the ground isn't great at the moment. And Plum, you're getting this moving in. Peters Township, you're going to be getting that rain picking up in intensity and the winds as well. But the worst is more of Elizabeth to Plum. That's sort of where we're looking. Elizabeth up to the Turnpike and then on towards Plum. So out that way in eastern Allegheny County at the moment. This one is moving eastward at 40 miles per hour. So this is a track that is quite quick. So we're going to put a quick track on this as I'm running out of time here. And this track would put it into Monroeville by 8 o'clock. So in the next few minutes, Monroeville, this is going to be hitting you. Indiana, 8:35, Cherry Hill by 8:45. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 8:15 and a flash flood warning that's in effect until 9:30 based on this storm that is moving through. But at the moment, it does not look like there's rotation in this. So what we're going to do is send you back to your regular CBS programming for the remainder of the night. Stay safe.